My keynote is titled Evolution of a Visual Communicator. My name is Taylor Lahey, and I'm a children's author and social architect. I'm based in Santa Cruz, soon to be Berkeley. I graduated in 2011 from UC Davis Design. My emphasis was visual communication, and I got a minor in drawing, printmaking, and photography. And my interests include urban design, community building, and community currencies. And that will become clear as we keep going on why I care about those things. Part one, visual communicator. I'm using Pokemon as a metaphor for stages of my career. And think of Squirtle. First of all, water Pokemon, one of 3 evolutions. This is me immediately coming out of college and finding work. As a visual communicator, I came into the workforce and found work in technology, which is great. But honestly, I just stopped doing it for school and I started doing it professionally. I found work at Locu, and Locu was a small startup, and what we did was package small business data and distribute it all over the web accurately and on one platform. At that point in time, in 2011, it was a big deal. I was the first only visual designer with an experienced designer that didn't know what to tell me. So I basically said yes to everything, to the people in sales, the people in marketing, the founders, the engineers, and I just helped them do whatever visually needed to be done for them. And being open and just trying all those things opened a lot of doors in figuring out how to empathize, how to figure out what people's motivations were, and how to prioritize what they really cared about. Eventually, Locu got bought by GoDaddy, and GoDaddy was going through some visual shifts in branding and even their identity. And we were caught at a strange crossroads where we splintered out the Locu product and we created other products. And one of them was search engine visibility, very simple SEO tool. We were tasked with how to educate the big sales team how to sell our product. And so I was given free rein. I went all out. I made this comic. I created this character called Crocodile Daisy, an owner of a flower shop during Jurassic period. So a bunch of other dinosaurs were around. And I made these stickers. And the people in sales absolutely loved it. They were not ever treated that special. And that was super fun and kind of a trailhead. That's not quite visual design. That's not quite UI, which I was hired for. And in the meantime, I was a 20-something in San Francisco, and I created this brand called SFXO. It was just a permission slip to start making whatever I felt like as an expression of my pride in San Francisco. I created all these illustrations as a part of a series called Sightsee, and we just took icons and monuments, and I would just draw them and start cultivating pride of making in San Francisco in general. We'd interview different makers, and we would create clothing, like an understated way to express your pride in San Francisco that was not affiliated with the sports team. Eventually, I just couldn't take it anymore at GoDaddy. It was tough to have all this inspiration into the startup be pulled away, and I needed to change. I went to Animation Collaborative across the street from Pixar, which is such a special place, and then eventually Art Center, and I studied animation. I got back to what I really cared about, and that was drawing. And there was moments where I'd be in a diner before class, and I'd make myself laugh. Like, how often do you just get to make something for yourself and it makes you laugh? What a crazy closed loop experience. At this point, my conscience, my Squirtle, was like, yo, what's going on here? You said you're a designer, you're doing all this stuff, and yet you have this extra well of energy to just make. And to that Squirtle, I don't know. It's just what I do naturally, and I think there's something else here. I love drawing, I love making things. I also love being connected to teams, so I was conflicted. That being said, I went to art school and I wanted more art school. Part 2, art direction. I go back to San Francisco and I'm looking for some work to basically fund my time at art school. And so the founders of Locu, that first company, they reach out and they say, we have a blockchain company. It's crypto, we know, but it's different, we swear. And Celo's goal was to provide money and financial tools that we take for granted here. The stable money, the savings, the banks, all that stuff that we use every day, and just give it to the whole world through blockchain technology. What an awesome mission. And I felt like an artist is always attached to something big happening in the world, something social, something political, something financial. And I felt like this was an opportunity that was just like that. I told the founders that I had 2 conditions. I want to draw more, and I want to do all the branding. And they said, sure, cool. And again, there was a bunch of yeses of, yes, we need this, and we need this fast. We're building a team. Celo splintered into C Labs. This was the technical side. It needed a brand. It needed a visual identity. It needed a logo. And then Valora became the wallet which everyone would transact with on Celo. And same with that. There needed to be all this work done. At this point, I'm helping a team build this all out, and I'm writing logo stories, and I'm figuring out that my skills might not just be in the visual realm. We're going to watch a video.
Value is ours to define. No one can declare it for you. It's ours to create. No one makes it like you do. It's ours to experience. No one can take that feeling from you. Value is a story from within us. A spark that can catch and ignite the world to share value. Share what you value. Download Valora today.
I joined Celo in 2019. COVID hits 2020, and Valora needs a lot of juice behind it. We needed people to start using this thing. And so we wrote a campaign called What You Value and put videos to it. And it was COVID. So we sourced these stories throughout the crypto ecosystem that we built. And we stitched together all of them. And we put film crews out there. It was such a logistic headache. And I hired my friend Raj, and he did the music. That was probably my favorite part of the project, is working with friends, hiring really talented people and getting to work with them. Seeing my work transcend 2D into motion, into sound was unbelievable. In 2022, we hosted a big convention in Barcelona called Celo Connect, and my strategist was like, let's go big. Could we get billboards to the founder, and could you design them? Could you write the copy? And for the first time, this is my window into creative direction, where I had to go to stakeholders and ask them, like, what really would work for you? What is the nuts and bolts of how much this would cost? And what did we have resources for? So I wrote the copy. I worked with the animation team and these people from all over the world believing in this bigger concept of democratized money and democratized financial tools, all convened in Barcelona for the first time in a long time. People felt seen, people felt like they belonged, people felt like they're a part of something. And I know these are just like 8 words. Right? These were words that were totally rock tumbled by everyone involved. And art direction is one thing, but creative direction, just being close to all that and making those calls is just another level. And then in the meantime, I'm still making art for myself. This is a piece I did for an art show that me and my friends put on, exploring my cultural identity. I'm part Taiwanese Chinese, and Leslie Chang, who graduated from UC Davis as well, created a zine. I drew for that, and I was making Rizzo prints and just like traveling to Taiwan and just painting for fun. And then again, my conscience just goes, yo, you're doing it again. What's up this time? You can't keep doing this. This is 2x of creative energy. Like, you can't work that hard and have this art thing you're doing on the side. And to War Turtle, I say, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm afraid. I want to be an artist, but I also just love working in teams. I don't think I have the guts or the vision to start something of my own and totally own it. All the risks it would take, all the financial consequences, that is hard. I don't know how to do that. Part 3, Storyteller. My War Turtle grows into a Blastoise. We're going to jump timelines a little bit. Back in 2018, when I first joined Celo, before we even formed, really, Sep Kambar, one of the founders, wrote an essay that we all were told to read. It's a very simple story. There's a litter problem in a place called Curitiba in Brazil, and there was all these informal neighborhoods. In these neighborhoods were narrow roads that the garbage trucks could not go and collect trash from. So the litter ended up contaminating the water, and the city was like, we want to do something about this. And instead of hiring agencies to solve it, can you, as the neighborhood people, pick it up and bring it to where we collect it? And in exchange, we'll give you bus tokens. Over time, those bus tokens start getting used like currency, first from person to person, and then eventually in stores. All of a sudden, there was a financial system backed by public transit, bus tokens. And it would create into existence for doing the right thing, literally cleaning up for your community and the natural environment. And everyone in this room, to this day, because the exchange still exists, we could go to Curitiba without having a Brazilian passport. We don't have to live there, and we get to participate in the program. What? What is money then? And I read this and it blew my mind, and I pitched to Celo, and they would actually hear out ideas like this, to go study the program today. So this is me in Curitiba with the director, and I eventually met with urban planners and people of the city, and my deliverable was to do something creative out of that. And I came back with, at first, a graphic novel of a story of what I would imagine growing up as if this was normal in a place like Curitiba, where you could just exchange trash for money. And then my conscience steps in and goes, yo, let's get real here. Do you really have the guts to do this or not? You're still doing this for Celo. You're still doing it for a company. And what happened was, like I said, that was 2019. 2020 rolls around, we go into COVID, and then all the projects I just showed you happen. Getting to do art direction, getting to do creative direction. But it put this bigger dream, this bigger appetite on the back burner. And to that Blastoise, I say yes. I eventually leave Celo, and I asked for the permission to take that story and run with it on my own. They gave me their blessing, and I ended up hiring Ryan. He got the internship at Pixar after my time at Animation Collaborative. There's an insight there, is just keep good people close. Keep good creative partners close. They're always going to have a place if you have a vision to where they could fit into what you're up to. And we ran with all of my research and things that were emblematic of living in Curitiba. We just started putting it into the book. I get to make all these decisions. I get to create meaning, and it's just so fun. This one I want to really highlight. There's walkways all over downtown Curitiba that are built in petit pavé, which is a type of mosaic. And we adapted this design where there is essentially a circular economy of people investing in this belief of this token, and then the children getting to celebrate that. And then we even add elements of the story, a bus token, a bus ride, and a pair of sandals. And starting from 2019, this was the evolution of me not having the guts to write a book, to eventually hiring my friend and getting into the author side of things. I actually self-published this and printed it in Santa Cruz, literally going from zero to book as fast as possible. And then I worked with a hybrid publisher, and now this book is out today and available everywhere. And so, big takeaway here is design is a gateway career. I couldn't imagine this progression, and I have to say that so much of it started off with saying, yes, we'll do it. We'll make it really good too. We'll really figure out what you want, and we'll do something special for you. To, I want to take more responsibility, and I want a bigger audience, and I want to be responsible for team members. To some sort of entrepreneurship, and that's what I am today. I'm just a solopreneur taking on projects that I make for myself. I believe that if you keep refining your intuition, you develop your skills, and you move towards your purpose, your passion, you will do things that you can't even imagine. And I'll say this, design is a lovely destination in and of itself. If you believe you're a designer, keep going. But you might find yourself empathizing with, I don't know, a lawyer and finding out you want to be a lawyer. Or maybe it's in some sort of exercise biology, and all of a sudden you want to work with athletes. Design is not just a profession. It happens to be a really worthwhile practice, a real worthwhile process in how you see the world and approach the world. That being said, that's my email. That's my website. That's my time. Thank you so much.